There's no place on Earth that's quite as isolated as North Korea, which makes it one of the most intriguing cultures on the planet. Thanks to details shared by people who have visited or defected, we've gotten a clearer picture of what it's like to live in North Korea, and sometimes it's the absence of the little things that can be the most shocking. Although members of North Korea's elite can get their hands on just about anything they want, ordinary North Koreans are resigned to a world without many of the things we Westerners take for granted. Here are a few staple items of our culture that are off limits to the ordinary North Korean citizen. Coca-Cola. There are only a scant few countries on Earth where Coca-Cola does not do business, and naturally, North Korea is one of them. Sanctions have made it impossible for the soda giant to infiltrate the Hermit Kingdom, but that doesn't mean the North Korean people don't have a taste for the real thing. You can buy any number of different Coke knockoffs in ordinary restaurants and grocery stores, and at least one of them sort of looks a little bit like a real Coke. According to The Telegraph, if you're a wealthy North Korean, a Chinese businessman, or a tourist, you can get your hands on it. But even then, you'll be reassured by the waitstaff that you're not drinking cola made by saber-rattling imperialists. No, it's Italian Coke made in Italy, whatever that is. Kim Jong-un's haircut. A few years ago, Kim Jong-un's haircut was actual fashion. Men all over the country wanted to look like their dear leader, so they had themselves cut to match. Now, despite a viral story that fooled plenty, the haircut was not in fact mandatory. People were doing it out of love. But alas, all that flattery by imitation started to annoy the supreme leader, so he's had the cut left off the list of state-approved haircuts, which is probably a good thing, since mirrors are still available in North Korean markets. Pop music. Music is a sensitive subject for Kim Jong-un. If it doesn't say nice things about him, or at the very least nice things about his departed ancestors, the regime, and the great land of North Korea, it's a capital crime. The regime recently had 12 musicians, including Jong-un's ex-girlfriend, publicly executed for such crimes as singing about stuff the dear leader doesn't approve of. The official reason for most of these sentences was that the crime was akin to pornography, but that hasn't stopped some music fans from forming an underground market for restricted listening material. There are even some reports that his ban has actively generated interest in old, prohibited songs. Starbucks. What could be more imperialist than a caramel macchiato from Starbucks? The coffee chain is definitely an American institution, which is why you won't find one in Pyongyang. There are coffee shops in North Korea's capital that have a similar feel to what you'd find on any given corner in the metro cities of the United States, so there's no love lost on the lack of mermaid symbolatry. As one North Korean coffee shop owner said of the American chain, "I think it's for people who don't really understand good coffee." Now that burns. Hair dye. Going blonde is not an option for North Koreans, and neither is going red, green, or rainbow striped. Everyone's hair has to be black, unless it's gray. Only then do you have the option of dyeing it. Hair dye is considered a capitalist trend and must be eradicated at all costs. So what happens if you defy the regime and get your hair dyed anyway? Both you and your hairdresser get punished. McDonald's. North Koreans also can't get McDonald's, unless they're among the super rich who can afford to have their Happy Meals imported from China, of course. Otherwise, citizens have to thank their former leader Kim Jong-il for inventing the hamburger himself in 2009. Or so they're told. This is where that whole limited information thing comes in handy, guys. iPhones. It might come as no surprise that the same nation that doesn't allow most citizens to use the full internet wouldn't get in on the iPhone craze. But it's not for the reason you think. Like other American companies, Apple just doesn't do business in North Korea. As such, citizens who want to have mobile phones rely on imitation Apple products, like the North Korean smartphone that looks suspiciously like the iPhone. What its app store is allowed to contain is anyone's guess. Piercings. You can get your ears pierced in North Korea, but forget a nose piercing or a cute little belly ring. Piercings are also seen as symbols of Western imperialism, much like jeans and ponytails, which makes Kim Jong-un's strange friendship with Dennis Rodman all the more perplexing. According to The Telegraph, the North Korean fashion police are also in search of skirts that are too short, shoes that aren't the right shape, blue jeans, and people wearing t-shirts. The potential punishment for these indiscretions? Labor camps. Yes, really. Are you really willing to sacrifice everything for your denim? Thanks for watching. Click the grunge icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.